If you are somebody who usually picks the Knight archetype in other FromSoft games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, then there's a good chance you're going to enjoy playing Wylder in Elden Ring Nightreign. And in this video, we're going to go over the basics of Wylder, how to play him, what are his abilities, and briefly go over some relic choices you should be looking out for. Now, as I just mentioned, Wylder is a Knight. If we look at his stat sheet, he's pretty well rounded and favors both strength and dexterity. Now on his character sheet, it does say he has a preference towards greatswords, and that's because it has a lot of synergy with one of his abilities. So if you're somebody who likes to use a greatsword for its stagger and raw power, then you're in the right place. So now moving over to Wylder's abilities. His first ability is a passive ability and is Sixth Sense. So basically, if you're going to take lethal damage, Wylder will do a dodge backwards to prevent him from being downed. This comes back when you go through a Site of Grace, and it is a great survivability tool that Wylder has. Next up, let's talk about Claw Shot, and this is basically the bread and butter for Wylder. This is a grapple hook that essentially has three functions. The first function is mobility. If you are sprinting through the open world, you can use this grapple to gain a little bit of distance without breaking your sprint. It can also be handy in combat to get out of a boss's attack, and it can also actually be used in mid-air. Now the other function of this is to bring light enemies closer to you. And lastly, with large targets, usually bosses, it'll bring you towards them. And while in combat, if you follow up using this grapple with a light or heavy attack, it'll do a nice chunk of damage and stagger. And later on when we talk about Relics, this is the main ability that actually has synergy with using a greatsword. So what's really cool about this Claw Shot is you can essentially adopt a hit and run type of gameplay if you feel like being too close to an enemy is too dangerous. And the last thing I want to mention about the Claw Shot is to activate it using a controller, you do triangle and L2. And you can actually let go of triangle and just hold L2 for the right moment and then let go of it to activate your Claw Shot. And the last ability to talk about is Wylder's ultimate, and that is Onslaught Stake. This is essentially Guts' like cannon arm from Berserk, or at least pretty damn close. Now when using Onslaught Stake, you can either fire it off immediately and that'll basically back your character up, giving you a lot of distance, or you can hold it down for a bigger blast and your character will essentially remain in the same spot. What's nice about this ultimate is the raw damage and then the stagger potential it also has for whatever targets it hits. Now when you are activating your ultimate ability, your character is invincible, so you shouldn't be afraid of getting up and close to a boss and activating this. And because of the large AoE that it does, this is also a good ultimate for picking up allies that are down. So a little bit of support functionality as well. And last thing I want to talk about before we move on to Relics is Wylder's basic equipment. Now he has Wylder's Greatsword, which comes with the art of Stamp and Upward Cut, and then he also has Wylder's Small Shield, which has Buckler's Parry. I myself, I'm not very good at parrying, but it is pretty decent for guarding until you find a better shield. But overall, his equipment is pretty decent, but when you're going on expeditions, you're going to be looking to replace this anyways. Now, when it comes to Relics with Wylder, I'm looking for things that are going to synergize with that Hook Claw, because it is the bread and butter of his character, and it has a relatively short cooldown. And so if you're looking to play Wylder, I would immediately look to get the Slate Whetstone. You've probably been seeing how it works in the gameplay I've been showing, because what this relic does is when you use your Hook Claw and then do a light attack with a greatsword, it'll then catch the sword on fire and do a special animation. And so you basically never need to pick up an item that imbues your weapon with fire as far as greatswords are concerned, because you have it baked into your kit here if you take this relic. And what's also nice about this relic is that fire effect you get, that affinity, will stack with any other affinity you already have on your greatsword. So if you already have poison and then you use this relic and activate it, yeah, you'll have both fire and poison on your weapon. And did I mention this relic isn't random? You get it by doing Wylder's Remembrance. So if you head on over to the journal and do a few expeditions with Wylder, you should be able to flip the pages and basically start a personal quest. Complete that remembrance and you're going to get this relic. So outside of looking for Wylder specific relics, I would be looking at the relics that the bosses drop when you defeat them. And unfortunately, I think a downside to this relic system is that the boss and then the character relics are just far superior than the relics you get by completing expeditions or the ones that you can buy in the shop. So overall with Wylder here, I am somebody who gravitates more towards that Knight archetype, and so this character's playstyle just works perfectly for me and has that added mobility because of the grapple function. But because Wylder has B scaling with dexterity, don't be afraid to pick up a bow for long range use, or hell, even bringing Lightning Spear as your range option if you can't find a good bow. But overall, just a really well-rounded character. A lot of people say he's kind of like a jack of all trades, and I agree. But anyways, that's my video. That's my basic guide on Wylder. You guys can let me know how you're enjoying Nightreign and what characters you're having a lot of fun with, and I will see you next time. Peace and take care.